today's practice, I'm going to read to you a little opening intention from one of my favorite decks of cards called Power Thought Cards by Louise Hay. Today's Power Thought card says, I am flexible and flowing. This is such a great one for this time that we are going through right now, because we are learning each day the importance of being flexible. I am open to the new and changing. Every moment presents a wonderful opportunity to become more of who I am. I flow with life easily and effortlessly. I am open to the new and changing. I am flexible and flowing. So as you start to open this practice today, just take your time to rest back on your back. Go ahead and get comfortable sitting with the spine tall to the ceiling, or maybe you want to be flat on your back, whatever opening position feels best to you. You might close your eyes, relax the shoulders down into the earth, relaxing the muscles of the face, the cheeks, the chin. And just to start, we're going to turn a little more inward. Hopefully the environment that you've set up for yourself in your home today is inviting. It's comforting. It's a place where you can find a little bit of time, not only for your physical body to move and stretch alongside us, but also for your heart to have a little bit of a chance to relax and release any tensions physically on the body or emotionally weighing on us. So let's start to make a little more connection with our breath. As you rest on the floor, feel free to feel your hands resting on your belly, rise towards the ceiling on that inhale. Feel your hands falling towards the earth on that exhale. Inhale, breath, those hands rise towards the ceiling. Exhale, breath, we feel the belly button start to fall towards the spine, releasing the breath back out. Now I'm going to start to see my breath as having 4 parts. The inhale is part 1, followed by a pause when I get to the top of the inhale. The exhale is part 3, followed by another pause. Maybe you start to see your breath as a box shape, inhaling to the top, exhaling, sliding over the side, exhale, falling back down, pausing again to connect that square. So seeing the breath as having those 4 parts, an inhale, a pause, an exhale, and then another pause. Just take your time to create some space with this breath, to relax not only the physical body, but let the mind have a chance to find ease as well. Depending on what shape you've been resting in, you might start to feel like you need a little more movement. Maybe your knees start to sweep a little bit right and left, or your arms even extend up over your head and start to look for a long body. Arms may relax into something that resembles more of a cactus shape. Maybe that's where you are today, just relaxing those arms down off to the sides. Just take your time here, just kind of opening up whatever feels good in the spine, whatever feels good in the back, the shoulders, your neck. Some freedom of movement. And then when you feel ready, we'll get ourselves back to a little bit more of a stationary pose. I'm going to walk the heels of my feet in as close as I can get them to my glutes. I'm going to bring my hands down on either sides of my hips with the palms facing towards the earth. And as I inhale, I'm going to bring my right knee in towards my chest. My foot is flexed. As I exhale, I'm going to stamp that right foot up towards the ceiling. As I inhale, I'll pull it back into the chest. And then when I exhale, I'm going to put the foot back down on the earth. So inhale, left knee, chest. Exhale, left foot long, left leg long. Inhale, knee back to chest. Exhale, foot finds floor. So just take your time, kind of marching these feet. You're opening up hamstrings, quads, hip flexors, a little bit of core engagement. So take turns kind of flexing the foot, pushing through the heel, letting things feel open. It shouldn't feel like a ton of work. That's not really the goal here. It's just some, opening stretches just to kind of get some blood moving through the body. Getting us in connection with what feels tight, what feels sore, what feels ready, what feels energetic. Because today's goal is not only to feel like we're flowing and flexible, but also that we have some strength in our body, some untapped potential. One more time with each leg. Make sure you're breathing. Each movement has a breath. Next time both feet are settled back into the floor, set yourself for your first bridge pose. Heels walking nice and close to those glutes. We want our knees about hip distance apart, maybe closer. Use your inhale breath, or if exhale is more your style, that works too. Just get some space between the floor and your back. So I'm gonna bend at my elbows, point my fingertips up towards the ceiling, pushing kind of the backs of my arms to root down into the ground, my palms face in towards one another. My thoracic spine is engaged. I'm exhilarated as I lift and use muscles in my legs, opening the front of my chest. Getting a nice big opener here. And if that's too much, just start to lower back down. You don't have to lift so high. You don't have to put quite so much power into it this morning if that's not where you are. Hands might move back down towards earth as you inhale, perhaps lifting heels up off the ground, and then just let this lower down one vertebra at a time. Start in between your shoulders. Yes, let all of that touch into the earth, and then the last thing that's going to hit your mat is your heels. Right knee then moves in towards chest, hug it nice and tight. Let the left leg go long down the mat. Maybe this big stretch feels good. I'm gonna add some movement in my ankles on both legs. I'm gonna let my head sway a little bit right and left. That might feel good to you as well. And then we'll switch this up. Bring the opposite knee in, let the opposite leg go long. Look for length. Rolling those ankles, pointing and flexing the toes. Letting the head sway a little bit here, side to side. And then when you feel ready, bring both knees into the chest. Rock this a little bit right and left. And then press through the heels, extend both legs to the ceiling, hands reach up, reaching for your feet, pointing and flexing the toes again, rolling around those ankles. And then soften everything, bring it all back down into the chest. When you're ready, this goes from rocking side to side to maybe starting to rock forward and back. And give yourself about 3 or 4 rocks today, maybe even an extra one. We could probably rock up to our seat in one rock, but maybe just give yourself an extra couple. And then start to find your seat. When you look for your seat, we're gonna sit nice and tall. This might be where it would be helpful to look for a blanket or perhaps a block to put underneath the tip of your tail if that feels good to you. Hands are gonna reach out to the sides, feet are gonna get into whatever comfortable position. You might line up your heels in line with the pelvis. You might just let your knees gently relax. You might be something like this where you've got one in and one out. Whatever feels best to you as you start to look for that tall spine, maybe even closing the eyes, hands reaching out to the sides of you. Big lift of the heart up towards the ceiling, maybe even lifting the chin. And then exhale, bring this chin back down towards your chest. Take that same movement 2 more times. So the inhale breath just adds length, opening the heart. And then start to bring the chest or chin to the chest, or maybe just to more of a neutral position. Wherever you are is fine. 1 more. All right, spine becomes tall, head up towards the ceiling. When you're ready, left hand takes an inhale breath, reaches up towards the sky, and then all the way over the body. Beautiful. Let that sweep back over and look for the earth as we repeat the same thing coming from the other side. So all we're doing here is just taking some graceful sways from side to side, opening up our side body, letting that hand stretch up and over, sweeping back. 1 more time. Making sure you're pretty balanced on both sides. The next time the hands reach for the floor, we'll sweep them straight forward towards the front of your seat, hands lifting up towards the ceiling, and then just exhale this slowly down into the heart. Take your time, let's do that again. So just a nice full sweep up, forward, reach, connect, exhale, heart. Hands resting here at heart, full spine lifts to the ceiling. Exhale, start to look over that right shoulder. Hands can stay at prayer, or you might choose to drop left hand to that knee. Right hand might start to look a little further behind you, reaching for the earth. Spine is nice and tall. Inhale, breath brings us back through our center, hands at heart, and then just easy twist the other way. Excuse me. Hand drops down to knee. Opposite hand starts to reach back behind us. Wringing out those internal organs, aiding in digestion, adding a little twist here to help with our spine. Beautiful. Start to bring this back forward to the front of our seat. Hands are going to shift to the fronts of the knees. On the inhale breath, you'll feel your hands slide back towards your hip creases. Chest opens, chin lifts. On the exhale, your hands will slide forward towards the fronts of the knees. A little bit of a rounding in the spine. So just take your time, move through this a couple more times. Hands to the creases, and then around the chest, around the spine. Again, just taking your time, letting that flowing movement open up the heart. We move through all 6 movements of the spine, giving our spine plenty of time. Feel open, flexible, and flowing. All right, after you finish out that next rounded spine, we're going to go ahead and shift everything to a tall spine and then to tabletop. I'm going to adjust a little bit of stuff here. I don't need my blanket anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that. But if you want it, you can put it underneath your knees. I'm going to remove my sweatshirt just so I can be a little bit more comfortable. Put yourself wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Maybe play around with a cat-cow while you wait for me to catch up with you. Get yourself however you may need in order to be comfortable. And then once you've taken yourself through a cat-cow or 2, we're going to start to find your first child's pose. So just put your hips back towards your heels. Maybe walk the hands far up the mat, really reaching up to that front edge. Beautiful. Use your next inhale breath to bring you up towards that same tabletop. Extend right foot long behind you. See if we can even stretch this left hand out in front into more of a bird dog or balancing table. Gaze is slightly out in front of us. Inhale breath looks for length. Exhale breath, we might bring elbow to knee underneath the table. Inhale looks for length. Exhale breath might find connection knee to elbow. Now if that feels a little too much this morning, you can half this. Just function with just the lower half of your body, operating with a little length. Bringing that in on the exhale. But just take your time. Yours might be moving a little faster than me or slower. All right, perfect. Next time you're nice and long with toes and hands, let's pause here. Hand comes down and looks for earth. Leg that's been long, flex those toes so that the toes can come down and touch the mat. Push through that heel. Long extension in that back leg. Now optional, I'm falling off the mat here. Optional kind of curling of toes on both feet. You might take yourself to a little half down dog, gazing back at those toes, nice long spine. Perfect. If you've taken that half down dog, drop your knee back to the earth, lift this long right leg, step it over to the left edge of your mat, and start to look over that left shoulder. Big C curve in the spine, opening up that side body. Perfect. From here, bring this foot back to the center of the mat. Now this knee that's been on the ground, we're going to spin this foot so that it comes out from behind us. Hands will reach up. Look for gate pose. Right leg is long, so right arm falls, left arm reaches up and over the top. Big side body opener here. Perfect. Spinning this left hand so that it can look for the earth. Right foot might lift up off the ground, half moon on this knee. You might even choose to make this really long and extend fingertips up over the head. Foot might come back to earth or it might stay lifted. Perfect. Take your time. Swing these hands so that they move back. Look for the earth. Spin yourself back around. Downward facing dog might be the next place of attack for you, or child's pose. Finding rest wherever you need it here for just a couple breaths. All right, friends, when you're ready, we're back down to knees, tabletop back in place. Left foot finds length this time. Right hand extends. Thinking about that balancing table. Reaching through the fingertips, reaching through the toes. You might start to add a little bit of movement just as you did before. Exhaling, elbow to knee, and then adding length. Remembering that if at any point in time you need to bring this hand back down to earth and just function with the lower half of your body, that's all right. If you even need to drop yourself down more to your forearms and do this a little smaller because your wrists don't like this, it doesn't sit well with you, that's always a modification. There's always ways that we can adjust this pose. Adjust any pose, rather. So just keep floating. Little bit more breath. All right, when you finish this last one, hopefully you feel even, somewhat. Hands will come down to earth. This back foot, flex the toes down, let them touch towards the mat, push through that heel, big opener for the calf, maybe toes even curl under a little bit, and you take that first round of half down dog on this side of the body. Knees dropping back down into earth. If they've been lifted, go ahead, this back leg lifts, and then we'll step it all the way to the right edge of the mat this time, looking over that right shoulder. Nice big C curve. Again, of the spine. C curve with the spine. Bring that foot back to the middle of the mat. And then this knee just starts to sweep just as it did before, so that the foot turns behind you. Left leg turns on its insides. Arms lift. Left leg is long, so left arm goes long. Right arm up over the top. Taking that same gate pose here. Hatha side body opener. Now this hand that's in the sky starts to spiral down. It's going to be even with my forehead as I start to take it down to the earth, slightly out in front of me. Back foot might lift, half moon on my knee, or maybe adding even a little more length. This foot can always come down to the earth and do yourself a little more modified version. Figuring out what shape works best for you. But if you've got that leg lifted, let's really focus on a nice flexed foot down there. Opening through the chest. Gaze might even go to the ceiling if you're looking for a lot more challenge. Perfect. Unwind that. Let the arm come down. Ease your way to knees for child's pose, or maybe you curl toes and let your hips lift, and you find that downward facing dog. Give yourself about 2 more breaths and whatever pose of choice you've taken on here. Whether you felt like you needed a little wrist relief down on your knees, or maybe you wanted a little more movement in your legs, so you found down dog. All right, when you feel ready, we're gonna start to walk feet up towards your hands. Find a forward fold. If you've been in child's pose, just take your time to join us. All right, then start finding half lifts. So hands will come to about the shins, spine gets nice and long. Exhale, fold. Plant the feet, number 11. Look for length. Hands reach up high above the head, connecting high, and then bringing themselves down into the heart. Nice. Let's take a couple half sun salutations. So you'll inhale, you'll reach your hands nice and tall. Exhale, breath, hinge at the hips, fold down towards the earth, flat spine, hands look for the earth. Half lift when you're ready, long spine, open up the backs of those legs. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach the hands all the way back up. Exhale to the heart. Give yourself one more, just follow your own pace. Most of you who are following with me today are pretty comfortable on the mat. You've done this enough times that you probably know your own rhythm of breath. Just take your time, remembering half lifts are always inhale, forward folds are always exhales. And then when you bring yourself to standing, that's always an inhale breath. Hands settle down into the heart. When you feel ready, your right foot is going to step towards the back of the mat. Then we're just gonna spin that right heel, let it touch down into the earth, and start looking for warrior one. So for our warrior one shape, we've got 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Our hands are tall, our shoulders are relaxed. We sink into this shape the best we can. And then just let the hands come down on either sides of the heart. When you exhale, send some energy straight forward for a long spine. Inhale, pull this back into the butt. 2 more. Taking your time. Last one. Press that energy forward. Inhale, let the hands come back up. Settle into warrior one. Relax into this shape. Hands might even find high prayer. They might bend at the elbows, tuck and hide behind the back of the head. Staying here for 1 more full breath. Inhale, reach these hands up nice and tall. And then as you exhale, we're gonna take our time. Hands are gonna come down here towards the earth. I'm gonna spin on these toes so that I can drop this knee down into the ground. Now we're not gonna be here too terribly long, but if you wanna reach for a blanket, you certainly can. Inhale, breath, hands lift tall. Exhale, breath, let them open into a cactus. 2 more. Up. And cactus. My hands are gonna come forward and just rest on this knee. I'm gonna sink just a smidge more into this front foot for an iliopsoas or a psoas stretch. Lots of big movement on this back thigh. And in terms of opening, stretching there. My arms are relaxed, my shoulders are down. Perfect. Inhale, breath lifts the hands up tall. Exhale, breath, hands look for the floor. Front foot's gonna step back, and I'm gonna put myself into a half plank. Knees on the ground. I'm gonna bring my feet from a lifted position so that they touch the earth. Push through my heels to activate a little bit more in my abs. And then when I exhale, I'm gonna lower down into the earth. 3 cobras. Toenails on the earth, hands on either sides of the heart. Just a gentle lift, and then lower back down. So be active through the pelvic bone, be active through the tops of the thighs. Let this be a movement that creates freedom in the spine. Nothing should feel compressed. It should feel like it's getting some nice work. Hands take their time. They lower back towards the breastbone. We push up onto our knees, and then just give yourself wide-kneed child. So separate the knees as wide as the mat. Sit the hips back on the heels. Maybe surrender the forehead down into the ground, or even these elbows down into the ground. Hands might tuck. Again, behind the back of the head. Two more full breaths here. Really surrender your belly to the earth. Let your chest fall down into the ground, opening for those outer hips. Letting things feel fluid and released. Flexible and flowing, adapting to the changes that come our way. As you feel ready, we're going to get ourselves back up to a standing posture. So for me, I'm going to lift hips forward, start to walk my knees back to the center of the mat, downward facing dog. And then you have option to either leap up here towards your hands, maybe one big step, or 2 steps, or a bunch of small steps. Half lift when you're ready, long spine. Floating to the floor, back up, hands look for the sky. And then they just settle back into your heart. Left foot steps back as we look for warrior 1 on the other side. Now your warrior 1 position, if you remember, warrior 2 is where this foot's all the way to the side. Warrior 1, you still would like it to be angled a little more towards the front upper corner of the mat. This front knee has a decent bend. Our hands are probably up, if that shape works for you. And then when you feel ready, these hands will drop on either sides of your heart, just as they did before. Send that energy forward on your exhale. Bring it back on your inhale. Forward on your exhale. And back. So if your pattern is not the same as mine, that's okay. Just give yourself one more of those. And then hands start to lift back up overhead. Now last time we made some connection here. Some of you, your hands were way out here. Fine, that's great. Others were able to add a little more height or even a bend in their elbows. Wherever you are today is okay. If it's not even here, if it's more here, or just hands resting, that's okay too. Give yourself another round of breath. Hands start to release back up towards the ceiling. As you exhale, they look for either sides of this front foot. Toes will spin as this back knee drops. Taking your time, if you need that blanket again, you can reach for it certainly. And then we'll bring our hands up. So look for that cactus shape. So curling toes under if you need a little bit more support for balance, flattening those toes out on the back foot if you are looking for a little more challenge. Letting this be rhythmic with your breath. It's just another encouragement to keep breathing. Beautiful. Next time the hands are up, we'll just let them float down into a little stack on the top of this front knee. Moving into a little psoas stretch. So on this side, you might be able to see me illustrate a little bit more. So the iliopsoas muscles are a group that connects kind of down into the groin area, up and around to the low back. They're really deep rooted inside the legs, inside the hips. So this is a wonderful way to feel some opening there. Often a very tight group of muscles. And when we take care of this group of muscles, oftentimes it can help with a little bit of back issues as well, some pains that we might be having in our low back. All right, as that starts to feel complete, take your time. Release from that. Hands are gonna come back down, look for the earth, step this foot back. This time it might be a full plank. Maybe you get your knees up off the ground, or maybe that half plank felt really good last time, that's where you wanna be. Wherever you choose, exhale, lift these elbows, stay close to the side body, lowering into the earth whenever you need. 3 of those same cobra, or if your practice lends itself to more of an up dog, all you have to do is just walk your hands back a little deeper so that when you press into the earth, your wrists are right underneath those shoulders. Thighs might be lifted if you're going for the fullest extension. Either way, ease your way into either a downward facing dog or that same wide-kneed child's pose. So whatever transitional movements you just took to move yourself from either cobra or up dog into down dog, or maybe you're in child's pose like me, fantastic. Just let it go. Allowing the sense of flowing flexibility to just move through our bodies with each inhale, embracing the idea of opening up new possibilities, not only for our physical bodies, but for what we're capable of doing, handling, embracing, appreciating. Fantastic work. All right, let's just get ourselves slowly back to life. Maybe through a table or a down dog. We're gonna get to a standing posture. I'm gonna walk my hands this time backwards to my feet, but if you've already started to walk forward, that's all right. Whatever rhythm feels good to you. A half lift might make sense to get the body nice and long again, folding down towards the earth. And then we'll inhale to bring ourselves to standing. Hands come down and look for heart. Wherever you've landed in this standing posture, close your eyes and take on a traditional Tadasana. So feet are planted, rooted down into the earth. Hands are either at heart or down, embracing the sides of the body. Shoulders relax down the back. Crown of the head slightly up towards the ceiling. Take advantage of this time that you have set aside just for you right now to feel strong, to feel rooted down into the earth and secure. When you're ready, weight starts to shift towards that right foot. Left toes become kickstand. Now, as basic and elementary as tree might feel, we're going to embrace that today. Embracing the steadiness of the foundation we're building in that standing leg. If you're feeling comfortable today, you might choose to bring hands up overhead. Increased challenge would be to tip your tree in the direction of your bent knee. Whoa. It adds a new level of difficulty. If you don't need that, reset, refocus, take your tree however you best feel comfortable in it, gazing at something not moving, so ideally not me. Your TV, your computer, your screen, your tablet, stay away from that. Look at something else beautiful within your space. Focus your attention on that spot. When you feel ready, this knee that's been lifted for your tree is going to start to shift towards the front of your stance. And then I just want you to step it forward a couple feet out in front of you, not a big step, doesn't have to be too big. If you're gonna step off your mat, that's okay. Reach your hands up nice and tall, and then all I want you to think about doing is this back hip crease where your top half meets your back. You're gonna hinge right over that and just start to stretch your hands forward. You'll stop when either your hamstring of your front leg makes you stop, or when your spine feels like it's starting to round. If it does start to round, you can add a little easy bend in this knee and keep going, but only if that knee is bent. So it might feel nice just to stop and reach, or to soften and bend. When you feel ready, your inhale breath brings you back up nice and tall. Step this front foot back to meet your standing back foot. Hands rest back into the heart. Tree pose on the other side. Activating that opposite standing leg. Whatever kind of necessary movements need to happen to get comfortable here. Shoulders back to the spine, hands are out or heart or lifted. Remembering to give yourself a little grace, especially if you're trying to balance on carpeted flooring. It's quite a bit different. I'm balancing on 2 stacked mats, so it's a lot more cushy than I'm used to, which is okay. I give myself that space to be flexible in this pose, to understand that if I choose to lean towards this knee, it's gonna be harder. It's okay. I'm probably not gonna stick it. It's probably not gonna be a perfect 10, but that's not my goal today. My goal is just to feel good in my own body, to feel strong, to feel open. Put that point of gaze on something not moving. Find yourself in this shape. As long as the body likes. Coming down to reset anytime you need to. Next natural inhale starts to turn this lifted knee towards the front again, and then we're gonna let it step out, a couple feet in front of you. Now, I know you can't really see me, but it's not a huge step for me. It's probably, I don't know, 2 feet or so. I think about that hip crease just as I had before. My hands are gonna lift up nice and tall, and then I'm just gonna start to hinge forward. Now, it would be awesome in theory if I had something to put my hands on. This is a great one for chair yoga because there's a lot of opening up the back side of this front leg. Remembering that if you choose to soften, you certainly can. You can fold over this leg a little bit more. Or if you want to keep that knee straight and keep reaching forward, go for it. A lot of tested balance here. A lot of length for the spine. Softening. All right, when the body feels ready, the inhale breath is what we always use to bring our chest back up. And then just step this front foot back, let it meet your back foot. Hands might come down, rest into your heart. Take that same mountain pose, perhaps even closing your eyes this time. I'm gonna add a little lift of my arms, so I'm gonna bring my hands out to the sides of the body, and then do what I like to call the starburst. So your hands flip forward and back and forward and back. I'll squat here a little bit so you can still see what my arms are doing. If you want to add a squat, you certainly can. But you look for reaching length out through these arms, and then just take your time. Let them start to bring themselves back, down, to the sides of the body. Once the hands have settled back down, we're rooted again through our feet. I'm gonna shift weight to my right foot again. Left foot's gonna come out and in front, and then I'm gonna crisscross near the ankles. Now this is option 1. I'm going to turn slightly to the side so you can see what this turns into. You just kind of sink down here, hands to heart. Option 2 would be a little more height out of this foot. It comes up and crosses a little higher, up towards the ankle. I flex this foot, my hands come to heart, and then I sink down. Believe it or not, this is my favorite balance pose. I don't know why. I think it's because it's challenging, yet feels comfortable. You can give me a big thumbs down. If you disagree, that's okay. It's a great hip opener, lots of strengthening for that quad. My ankle feels powerful and strong when I'm rooted in the right place. Give yourself one more breath, whatever version you've chosen. Beautiful. Inhale, breath stands up. Leg that's been across, go ahead and keep it across. Just let yourself cross towards ankles. And then the leg that's on top, that same arm is going to reach up and over. Give yourself a nice long side body stretch. Beautiful. Let the arms switch. And then back down. Uncross the legs. Any movement for the hips, the ankles, a little cha-cha-cha if you need it. All right, other leg becomes your standing leg. Which would be what? I think I was on that side. Is that right? Yeah, that would be right. Okay, so for me, it's my left leg becomes my standing leg. Flex that other foot. Remember, you can be little down here by your ankles with just a little seat, or you might be higher. If you have a block, you can certainly put this foot on a block too. I don't have a block handy to show that option. Now I do. You can look like this. I should have showed this on the other side too. But that might be a nice modification for you as well. But just flex that foot. If it's all the way across to the knee, sink yourself down into that same chair that you found before. Letting the eyes gaze forward at something not moving. Sink yourself down. Believe it or not, the deeper you root into this, the more stability you'll feel in that ankle. It's holding you in place. Lots of breath control. Beautiful. As you feel ready, inhale, breath lifts perhaps. Leg that's been crossed, go ahead and just let it comfortably cross right at the ankle. The leg that's on top, reach it up and over. We're going to do both sides, so if you did the other arm first, that's okay. And then just like you did before, shift. Back. Now, if you've been standing at the front of your mat, you're going to just turn sideways so that you can get a big 5-pointed star. So just shift on your mat so that you've got a nice wide stance. The more I move, the more uneven my mat becomes on this floor today. So just take your time. You've got that nice 5-pointed star. We're going to take a good forward fold here. Hands might reach up towards the ceiling. You might take that same hip crease hinge. If you need to soften your knees a little bit, feel free, and then just fold. If you're already there, you're already down, I talk too much, that's okay. Just get into the shape when you're ready. Head might hang down. You might look more like the letter A in Ashtanga. You might have B, you might have arms rested here on your low back. You might choose C with a clasp of the hands and a heavy head through the middle, or D, kind of fish hooking these fingers between first and second toes. If none of the above would be more your standardized test answer, you can take right hand to left elbow, left hand to right elbow, and find something that looks more like ragdoll. So you've got options. I want your backs to feel heavy, your heads to feel heavy, because this is your last standing posture from this big forward fold. We're going to move down to the earth. So as you feel ready, you're just going to move in a position where your hands can feel like they're going to get a little support. So I'm going to walk my feet in a little closer, slightly wider than my hips. A squat might feel good, turning those toes outward, maybe looking for a block for assistance to come at the hands or behind the tail and a seated posture. Or you might even walk your knees all the way in to touch, into more of a traditional ball shape. Or you can, of course, skip all of it and just head to your seat. Yogic squat, squat with knees together, or tail on the ground. Perfect. Letting the hands come back and look for your hips. If you've had kind of energetic music playing, you're going to want to shift your playlist to something calming because we're heading back to our backs to finish up this practice together. So take your time, head back to your back. Maybe knees come all the way into the body. I'm going to keep my hands on the tops of my kneecaps so that I can do a little stirring here. Letting my knees kind of come in and out. And then it might feel good to go the other direction, in and out. Now we already did our figure 4 in a standing posture today, so you probably don't need it here on your back, but if you want to take figure 4 here, you certainly could. You could lift your right foot high to the sky with your left foot coming down, over, take this figure 4 or pigeon on your back right here. Actually, that feels pretty good, even though I did do a standing figure 4. If you want to do that with me, great. If that shape doesn't work for you and you'd rather just do knees hugged to chest, or one knee in and one leg long, or another pose of choice here, feel free. My figure 4 that I'm taking here on my back, or my pigeon on my back, feels good with some movement. Feel free to invite that in yourself. Rolling ankles, kind of rocking around, finding those tricky spots in your hip that feel like they need a little bit more love in order to get that flexibility that we're looking for. Or that might have been one of the reasons to start your yoga practice. Flexibility is often a common reason why people look to try yoga. Let's switch sides when you feel ready. So I'm going to bring my feet back down, just let them reset. Again, remembering if figure 4 doesn't feel right to you today, and you'd like to just take knees hugged to chest, or one knee in, one leg out, maybe just the legs up the wall, or a waterfall pose. There's all sorts of other things that can happen here as we're starting to feel the end of this time together. At least time together today. We'll be back together on the mat soon. All right, when this side feels like it's good, I'm going to start to move my feet back down to earth. Checking in with a little spinal twist might feel nice. Arms maybe reaching up over the head, letting the knees shift from side to side. It might feel good to insert a bridge pose here, or elevate the feet up towards the ceiling. If you have the luxury of being close to a wall, you certainly can just flip yourself and put yourself into actual legs up the wall, or if you're close to a couch or a chair, Feel free to throw your feet up onto something with your back resting down into the earth. That might feel lovely. If you're set up in the middle of a big open room and that is not an option, maybe bound angle feels good. Bring those feet down and embrace a bound angle, reclined here on the earth. Supta Baddha Konasana sometimes is a great alternative. So just choose what pose works for you. You're in those final moments of this practice where things should feel less like work and more like release. Inhaling a sense of peace. Exhaling to release. Inhaling a sense of peace. The eyes closed. Exhaling a sense of release. Releasing the expectations we have for our balance, for our strength, and the physical asana, the poses we move through today. Releasing the tensions physically weighing on our face, on our neck, on our chest, on our heart, anything that feels heavy, let that be released. If we need a moment to provide therapy to an achy place within the body, listen to that. Move so that that particular point feels like it has your full attention. And then start to tell the body to be quiet. Our physical movements are going to come to an end as we start to move into whatever final pose feels most appropriate to you. This might be where that blanket you grabbed is helpful, serving as a pillow perhaps underneath your head, or a full blanket to cover and trap the heat within the body. It's often hard for us to find a time to relax when our toes are cold, or central core area feels chilled. Throwing that blanket as a weight, perhaps across your belly, is another option. And just settle into whatever final pose is going to be where you find the most amount of comfort and ease today. Staying within that shape for a few more moments, allowing the body to feel soft, still calm, still at ease. As the body starts to feel ready, take your time to add gentle movements back. These might start nice and easy, like something wiggling the fingers or wiggling your toes. Your head might start to sway side to side. Your knees might slowly start to move in a little closer to the body, hugging them into the chest perhaps, rocking side to side. Maybe your right arm starts to shift to a position to be used like a pillow and you roll to a sideline savasana. Resting on your right for just a few moments is a good way to elevate the heart. And then if and when you feel ready to join me back in a seated posture, just take your time, find your way there. Today's final reading is entitled Experience and Character. This final reading comes from the book of Daily Positive Quotations. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. Helen Keller. We may wish for an easier life at times, but we know that the way we handle ourselves in difficult periods is what truly shapes who we are. The people we admire the most aren't those who've had everything given to them. They are the people who've had to work hard, even suffer, to achieve what they have achieved. I can handle life's tragedies and setbacks. I don't welcome these events, but I recognize that they have much more to do with defining my character than happy times do. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. I greatly appreciate you taking this time, not only for your physical body to move and breathe alongside me, but for your mind to have that much needed time to sift as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you again. Namaste.